Hi, I'm Renee.
And I'm Debbie, and together
We
we
are
are
the
the
Roundtable
Roundtable
Recap.
Recap.
Hey, welcome to Celebrity Traitors. We are on season 1, episode 6, and this leads off from the last episode where you're not sure if it's David or Mark that is eliminated at the round table. And so, you know, whatever it's called, leave it to fate.
The chests of chance.
Yes, the chest of chance. So, you know, Mark lets David choose first, and he picked the box with the shield. So he is the
Yeah.
one who got saved. Yeah, Alan speaks up at the round table to say that he feels bad, and
Yeah.
even in his confessional, he feels bad for having him go as well. But
Yeah. And that's a hard way to go out, by chance rather than by vote.
yeah,
Yeah.
and it hardly what we said. Maybe it happen one other time in
Right.
traders. So it's very rare that this happens.
Yeah.
Um,
But he did get at the round table, he did get support from the faithfuls. They're like, because
yeah,
he felt
yeah.
bad and they're like, no, it's okay.
Yeah, I mean, I thought it was a good play for him to speak up and say
Mhm.
something because I think he's playing the part of a faithful pretty good.
Yeah. It was just that when Mark left, it was that comment about I always have been and always wanted to be, because that was Alan's argument, was that
Mhm.
he wanted to, that Mark wanted to be a traitor, not a faithful.
Yeah, yeah, in his interview with Claudia. Yeah. Then I just have, after the round table, there's, some discussions where Joe and Kat, they're discussing, and Joe thinks that Jonathan, or even looking at David now as a potential traitor.
Right.
And then of course Kat and Lucy, they bring up again about the big dogs, Jonathan versus Steven.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. But there is, I think, a little bit more talk about, like Lucy brought up about trying to get the faithfuls to stick together, so that their votes aren't all over the place, that's the only way they're going to get a traitor out.
Yeah, yeah, because right now, as any of these previous roundtables, every vote is everywhere. And yeah, it's not a good consensus.
Because right now, this was, we started off with 19, so now they've lost 9 faithfuls, and is it 9?
I hope so. Nine faithfuls.
Can't remember if it's 9 after the round table or 9 after the traitors eliminate somebody. But in either way, they're down
Yeah,
to
yeah, because it's like one fourth of the group is traitors. Yeah.
yeah, and I think after this, it goes down to almost 1/3 of the group is
Hmm.
traitors. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, because David is starting to look at at the stats. He's starting to think, we're losing a lot of faithfuls, and pretty soon we're going to have a lot of, in comparison, a lot of traitors, to
Hmm.
faithful. Yeah,
Yeah, and that's kind of discussed later on too after breakfast because it's Nick who brings up that point as well. I mean, when they go to the trader's turn though, after the round table in the night, they're looking at now eliminating either Kate, Steven, or Joe W.
right.
As the
Yeah,
three.
yeah. But I like that the traitors turret how Alan still felt bad, but I like Jonathan. He's such a good leader. He's like rallying them around, and he's like, yeah, it was tough, but as the game goes, it's going to get tougher. I just really think he's such a good leader, for the
Mhm.
traders. He doesn't let their emotions get out of hand. He tries to keep them focused, and I think that's really good, and that's probably why they're doing really well.
Yeah, or even when they bring up a person to discuss about getting rid of, they discuss together, the pros and cons of,
Right.
if we get rid of this person, what is the potential outfall of this? So
Mhm.
yeah, they work really well as a group of
They do.
traders. Yeah. And also, so moving on to breakfast. I really love, I think this is also why I like this celebrity trader so much because I love the banter amongst the competitors and the fact
Yeah,
that they also know that it's a game, so they're not taking it personally. But
right.
like Celia, she brings up to Alan, I was I thought of you this morning or something, and he made a comment about like, oh, a fantasy or something like that. And then even she she said something to the extent of, I don't think you're as dumb as you
She
let
said,
on.
no, she said that you're more clever than what you're letting on. And
Yeah.
that's when he said, "Oh, you think I'm playing dumb?"
Yeah, and then Joe's like, or so to the extent of like, well, not playing, but
Right. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. I
Yeah.
just, I just love the dynamic between them.
Yeah.
It
Yes.
makes for a great show.
Yes.
But yeah, this is where you find out that it's Joe, Joe W.
Yeah, I was focusing on Alan's comments. He comes up with such good comments, about, he's just bursting with confidence now. He said, look at me in the
Yeah,
first couple of weeks, I couldn't stop sweating. And he's like, and then I wanted Mark out. I got Mark out, and then I didn't even break a bead of sweat.
yeah, yeah. It is. He's growing into his trader role very
Yeah,
quickly.
yeah,
Hmm.
but like he said, he was like, but my, they're losing more faithfuls, but then he said, but also his Christmas card list is also going down.
Yeah, yeah,
He just has really good, I mean, he's a comedian anyway, but he has some really good comments.
yeah, yeah. His one-liners too are really
Yeah,
great.
yes.
Yeah. And so moving on to after breakfast, this is where David he starts suspecting Stephen and Kate working together. So he's looking at them as potential traitors. And this is also where Nick is ironically it's him amongst the three traitors. And
I
he's
know.
like, if going with that there's three traitors, the probability, and I'm just yeah, the probability is you're sitting with three traitors right now, and you're the only faithful. So I thought
I
that
know.
was ironic.
I thought that was so funny. Yeah, when that happened.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, he does suspect though Kate. He's now really like pushing that he really thinks Kate. What?
Nick?
Or
Nick
not Kate,
suspects,
Cat. Cat.
yeah,
Yeah, the
he
cat's a traitor.
and Jonathan. So he suspects both of them.
Hmm. I have also where Celia and Kat they're discussing if Celia looks. I'm like, poor Celia, because she says she's like, I'm so lost, kind of thing, and
Oh,
she flat out asked Kat, if she's a traitor, and of course, Kat's like, no, I'm not, and Celia's like, yeah, no, I don't think you are. I'm like, ah, poor Celia.
yeah, she believes them. Yeah.
Yeah,
I don't know what she expects when she asks them. Like, oh, yeah, I'm a traitor. I mean, I
yeah,
don't know what she
I,
expects.
I don't know. Maybe she thinks that they're gonna give up some type of like clue, some type of tell,
Yeah.
something, but.
No, no, this is a different group. They're very good. So, yeah. Yeah. So when this mission came up, I immediately had flashbacks to Traders US and how that went so wrong for Carolyn. And
Yes.
yeah, so I was waiting to see what was going to happen. Did the traders mess up? It was yeah, I was eager to see how this was going to play out.
Yeah, to see if any of them stood out. And I did like how they first broke up the groups because the traders all were on one
Right.
team, but then of course Joe's like, no, I'm not happy with the teams. And so
Yeah.
Nick's like,
Yeah.
well, why don't we randomize it? So he gets on the team with where he thinks is the most traders, but actually it was the other team. Um, and yeah, I thought that was funny where Joe's like, no, I'm not happy. Like, so. But no, I thought the traders did really well. They all blended in really good,
Mhm.
and they picked answers that, yeah, it was a group consensus on both teams because the first question they both teams picked correct. It was who was the weakest, and it was Kate. And the
Yeah.
second one, both teams chose correct, which was who's the most two-faced.
Yeah, because that created problems in Traders US when with that question.
Yeah.
So Celia, she volunteered herself.
Yeah,
So
and both groups went with her. So
I know.
yeah.
They got lucky on that one because yeah, that created, like I said, it created problems in Traders US.
hmm But again, this group works really well together. Like on
Yeah,
these missions, they work really well as a team. Uh,
right,
and then even when it came down to the third question, which was Nick versus Joe, and Nick, gives it to Joe to win because he wants he thinks that Joe's team has, the least amount of traitors and he wants to save them.
right, right.
So, which was the leader of the pack, and they chose Steven.
Yeah, yeah, which Stephen did not like.
Yeah.
Yeah, because he's like, why? Why would they say that?
hmm
Yeah, yeah, that was the only, I don't know, I felt bad for Stephen Fry in this one because he's been such a strong player, but then and he's always so he has such a good presence. And in this one, I mean, he just his appearance just looked like he was rattled. And so I don't know if the game was starting to get to him or what, but yeah, that last question did not help boost his confidence.
Yeah, I know. And even in his confessional afterwards, he questioned it. But then this is where he brings up that he thinks either it's Jonathan or Alan that could be traitors. And
Right,
I mean, he's
right,
spot on about both of them.
right,
Yeah, and then Lucy, she brings up that it's possibly maybe Stephen and Jonathan, and then Kate thinks it's looking towards Stephen. So,
right. Yeah, yeah,
um, which I think is kind of funny because up to this point, really, the most suspicions haven't really been in discussing wise. It hasn't really been focused on any of the females. I mean, maybe what, they get thrown in there. I mean, I feel like the females were like more towards at the beginning, and then they all
right.
turned out to be faithfuls. So I don't know if that's why like the group kind of switched their focus because I feel like, most people now are voting. Like when you go to the round table and vote, it's mainly the guys that are like the girls get questioned, but then when the votes come out, it's a lot of the guys that are being voted on.
Yeah, because I think right now it's six guys and four women. So yeah, they're probably thinking,
The probability is
yeah,
a guy.
it has to be a guy in the traders. Yeah,
Yeah. I just kind of noted that on this one because I'm like, yeah, a lot of them
yeah,
are focusing on the guys right now.
yeah.
Okay, so at the round table, I have where Jonathan he starts it off and he points to David. David in return brings up the whole Kate and Steven interaction and his
Right,
theory about them working together.
right.
And then I thought right here Stephen brought up a really good point, which was about how the traders they get less sleep than any
Yeah,
other
yeah,
people. And
yeah. But it was so ironic because it looked like Steven had gotten, like I
got a little
said,
sleep.
his appearance was. I was thinking it's ironic that he says that because, and it's a good observation, but at the
Mhm.
same time, when you look around, it looks like Stephen is under a lot of stress or lack of sleep.
Yeah, yeah.
But,
But I mean, yeah, I thought it was like he brings out these like good theories and things
yes,
that nobody
yeah,
else has ever thought of. But I
yeah,
mean, he, pointed out that Kat had been sleeping, but she
yeah,
had a good, way to dismiss it to say that, she has the ADHD and something else, so she needs, more sleep
right.
because of the interactions with people. But and then Alan, he also brings up that Steven, there's a change in his personality.
Hmm.
Um, which maybe because I kind of that kind of threw me because I didn't really see a change, but like you said, then maybe it was like something like how you pointed out that he kind of looked like he was tired and whatnot,
Right.
more
Yeah, yeah,
stressed.
yeah. I just noticed in this episode he appeared that way. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, because what Alan goes after Steven, Celia defends Steven, and then Jonathan goes after Steven. So like all the traitors are going after Steven.
hmm Yeah,
Mm.
and for a second, I thought Joe was going to be voted off because, um, everyone came at him for his personality changes at the round table, um, versus, outside the round table. So, and I know like in other traders, if you kind of get aggressive or, a little bit more defensive, maybe
Right.
is a better term, um, everyone looks at you and it's like, you must be like this for a reason. You must be a traitor. And then it didn't help that this is at the point that Nick chooses to come clean about throwing the game and
Right.
letting Joe win. So that doesn't
Right.
sit well with some of the players.
Yeah, especially the ones that were on Nick's team because they're like, what, you threw it? And so you put all of us,
At
you know,
risk.
yeah, at risk of being eliminated. So yeah, I think especially Kate and Lucy, I think. Well, yeah, because the rest were traitors. No,
Well,
no, it was Stephen, yeah, and Jonathan. But I
yeah.
think the women were more upset
Well,
about it.
especially after this roundtable, because Steven's the one who gets voted out. So it really dwindled down to who now was up for elimination that night by the traitors.
Right.
And um, yeah, I thought this was also kind of ironic that they put Steven as the leader of the pack, but I don't think anyone listened to Steven because
I
like
know.
he always had these great like theories, but no one followed through. Or like he even suggested on the one episode at the round table, like, hey, why don't we do opposite? Let's not have a discussion.
Right.
And it
Yeah, yeah,
just yeah, it just kind of always seemed like I don't know. I mean, they called him the leader of the pack, but really no one listened to him.
yeah. I think it's because of who he is. I think that's what it really boiled down to. I mean, he's knighted, he's a big deal in the UK, so I think it's just
Yeah.
who he is. And also in this round table, this is where Alan forgets he has a shield.
Yes, yeah, Alan makes the mistake of, yeah, saying, "Well, what? I'm safe tonight." And Joe's like, "Yeah, you have a shield." Like, so yeah,
Yeah,
that gets brought up after the round table because they're like, "Who? If you forgot you had a shield, it means that you don't need it."
right,
So yeah, that was. I'm sure that will come at some point back into play on future episodes. That the fact that he because everyone remembers if they have a shield and they're safe or not. That's not something you easily forget as a faithful.
right.
Yeah, and then I just have after the round table, this is where Joe he looks at Kat because Kat doesn't vote for Steven. But Joe's like, I need more from you, Kat, going forward. So this kind
Mm,
of puts her, I think, in the hot seat to keep that
right.
alliance going and, her facade of being a faithful going.
Yeah, yeah. It's coming down, like I said, I mean, they're past the halfway point. So it's coming down to at what point are you going to play your individual game?
Hmm. Yeah, and then even in her confessional here, she's like, I don't understand how they don't have a traitor yet. She's like, I feel like I'm handing things to them, and
Yeah.
she's like, I don't know what they're doing. Which I feel like that's why she also keeps bringing up the big dog theory, is
Yeah,
because she's like, yeah, that's smart.
that's been her kind of shield in a way because it looks like she has a theory, she's sticking to it, but then she never deviates from it.
Hmm. I know, and but nobody questions her, like, well, what other theories do you have? Or,
Right.
but yeah, this is where you're talking about where she confronts Nick. She's like, well, I think you'll be safe because you're working with the traders. Why would the traders get rid of you tonight?
Right.
This is the end of this episode. They know that Lucy, Nick, or Kate, they will have to do a face-to-face elimination with the traders back on the chessboard. That's kind of where it leads off of, could be
Right.
one of the three. And again, it's a
Yeah.
face-to-face elimination. So we'll see who they decide amongst those three. We'll see you guys next week on next episode.
Yay.